In this mini lecture, we're going to take a look at the comparative advantage organization pattern. With this pattern, you're going to use it to directly compare and contrast two or more items, brands, solutions, or options. Now, the picture of the apple is there because it's important to recognize that when we use a comparative advantage, we need to be comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges. So you would not want to say or set up a speech or even consider a speech that says, well, Coke is better than an iPhone, because those things are not similar to each other at all. So you're going to compare two like things. Let's break this down a little bit because this pattern is a little bit unusual for some people. So let's look at some examples of where you could use a comparative advantage organization pattern. I had a student once, her family owned a Christmas tree farm, and she used a comparative advantage to say a real Christmas tree is better than an artificial tree. There we're comparing a real Christmas tree to an artificial Christmas tree. Cheerleading is as much a sport as soccer. So here we're going to compare cheerleading and soccer. The iPhone is better than an Android. I'm going to compare two different types of phones. College football is better than professional football. Again, we're comparing two types of football. Another example, starting at a community college is better than going directly to a four-year college. So we would compare community college and a four-year college. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tricky. With the comparative advantage organization pattern, you will be establishing, I would say three, definitely no more than four criteria, and then compare at least the two things to this criteria. So let's consider cheerleading as a sport. If I was going to do this speech and I was trying to advocate that cheerleading is as much of a sport as any other sport that I was going to look at, I might start with, first of all, well, what is the definition of a sport? So I might go on dictionary.com and say, well, how do they define sport? From there, I'm going to establish the criteria of a sport. So what does it mean to be a sport? Perhaps it is practice is required, so there are some skills that are required, and that there's some level of competition. And I would then compare cheerleading to one or two, you could use two, other more somewhat recognized sports such as football, soccer, baseball, swimming, or any other thing that maybe more people would recognize as an actual sport. So let's take a look at what that would look like if I were to set up the body of this speech. And for this one, we're going to look at the real Christmas trees are better than artificial trees. I would establish what are my criteria that I am going to use to compare the real Christmas tree and an artificial tree. And in this example, I've established three criteria. First one is historical and traditional value. So I would talk about the artificial tree and then I'd talk about the real tree. Now some students will ask, well, which one should I put first? There's not necessarily a correct answer. I think that putting the one that you are advocating for as the second point, you can kind of lay the groundwork with the other one and then kind of drive it home with your position, but you certainly could set it up the other way. Okay. So historical and traditional value, that would be one criteria that you're looking at. Another criteria that I've decided to identify is cost. And then I would say, okay, cost of an artificial tree, and then compare that to the cost of a real tree. And finally, I've identified environmental impact as my third criteria that I'm going to compare these two. Again, notice that the subpoints are the same. I'm going to go artificial tree, real tree, artificial tree, real tree, artificial tree, real tree. I'm going to keep those subpoints the same because it's going to help my audience be able to follow my speech better. When looking at the comparative advantage example and deciding which order to put your criteria in, my recommendation is that you put your strongest criteria, what you feel is the strongest criteria, as your last main point. Oftentimes, if you have three, the second strongest is going to be in the one spot, and then perhaps maybe the weakest is going to be in the two spots, so that you're going to kind of cushion it between your criteria there. Now we're going to get a little bit mundane again here with overall organization. Introduction, same thing. Attention getter, audience relevance, credibility, why do you care, why are you credible about this topic, and a very clear preview of your speech. Outline for us, tell us what you're going to be telling us in the body of your speech. In that conclusion, same thing. You're going to summarize your speech. First of all, of course, let us know you're coming to the end. And then a nice summary, a nice wrap up of what you just told us. A call to action. What is it you want us to do, think, feel, believe? You're going to be, of course, advocating for your preferred position. And then finally, you're going to need to have some memorable closer. And if you can link that back to the attention getter, that's always a nice touch. Transition statements, can't say it enough how important those transition statements are, and with internal summaries and previews to again reinforce your message, help guide our audience. And finally, remember those 3 persuasive appeals: logos, ethos, and pathos. Those are going to be interwoven throughout your speech. We need credible information, we need you to be credible as a speaker, and we need you to help us make a connection to your topic. You do all those things, you'll have a great persuasive speech using a comparative advantage solution or a comparative advantage organization pattern.